I still remember the exact moment I stopped being a sister and became a ghost. It was a gray Thursday in April, the kind of Portland rain that doesn't fall so much as it hangs in the air, pressing down on everything like a wet blanket. I was parked outside the Fred Meyer on Lombard, engine running, wipers flicking back and forth even though the drizzle had slowed to a mist. The trunk was full of groceries I'd just spent 45 minutes picking out. Oat milk for my coffee, the good strawberries because they were finally on sale, chicken breasts I was planning to meal prep for the week. Normal things. A normal life. And then my phone rang. Lila. I answered on the third ring, the way I always did, because some habits die harder than dignity. Hey, what's up? I tried to sound casual, like I wasn't already bracing myself. There was a pause, long enough for me to hear the faint clink of wine glasses in the background. She was at some rooftop bar in San Francisco, probably with Blake and his finance bro friends, the kind of place where cocktails cost more than my grocery bill. Elara, she started, and I knew. I knew right then. The way her voice dipped into that soft, careful register people use when they're about to ruin your day, but want to pretend they're being kind. I need to talk to you about the wedding. My stomach dropped so fast I felt it in my toes. Okay, I said, drawing the word out like I could stretch time. She exhaled, sharp and practiced. It's immediate family only now. Just parents, grandparents, Blake's side. We're keeping it really small. Intimate. You're not immediate enough anymore. Immediate enough. For syllables. For syllables that turned the inside of my car into a vacuum. I stared at the steering wheel. My knuckles went white around the phone. Outside, a mom wrestled a toddler into a minivan, laughing at something the kid said. Normal life. Happening all around me while mine quietly imploded. What does that even mean? My voice cracked on the last word. Lila sighed. The sigh she'd perfected since we were kids. The one that said I was being difficult again. It means exactly what I said. It's not personal, Elara. It's just, we want the people we're closest to. The people we talk to every week. You know how wedding planning is. Everything's so stressful. I laughed, but it came out wet and broken. We're sisters. We are, she said quickly like that settled it. But we're not close. Not really. Not like that. Not like that. I don't remember hanging up. I don't remember putting the phone down. I just remember sitting there, rain tapping on the roof, groceries slowly spoiling, while the words looped in my head on repeat. Not immediate enough. Not close. Not like that. My name is Elara Quinn. I'm 28 years old. I teach third grade at a public school in North Portland where half the kids qualify for free lunch, and the other half have parents who send them with homemade bento boxes and passive-aggressive notes about screen time. I drive a 2011 Corolla with a cracked taillight I keep meaning to fix. I live in a 420-square-foot studio above a laundromat that smells like dryer sheets and someone else's dinner every night. I have $71,200 in savings because I've never taken a real vacation, never bought the nice boots, never said yes to the girls' trip to Tulum because maybe next year. And in that parking lot, I became the sister who wasn't wanted at her own sister's wedding. I don't know how long I sat there. Long enough for the windows to fog completely. Long enough for a security cart to roll past, and the guard to tap on my glass, concerned. I waved him off with a smile that probably looked deranged. When I finally drove home, I left the groceries in the trunk. I walked up the 2 flights of creaky stairs, unlocked my door, and stood in the middle of my tiny living room like I'd never seen it before. The sagging couch I'd found on Craigslist. The dying pothose I kept forgetting to water. The stack of ungraded spelling tests on the coffee table. All of it suddenly looked temporary, like props in a life I'd been borrowing. I opened Instagram because pain is apparently a form of self-harm I'm fluent in. Lila's profile loaded like a punch to the throat. Her engagement shoot was still pinned. Her and Blake on a cliff in Big Sur, wind whipping her hair into a perfect halo. His arms wrapped around her waist like he was anchoring her to the earth. The ring, a 2-carat oval diamond on a rose gold band, caught the light just right. Caption: Can't wait to marry my best friend surrounded by the people who matter most. I refreshed. 5,112 likes now. I scrolled the comments. Bridesmaids gushing. College friends screaming. Blake's mom saying, "My beautiful daughter," with a dozen heart emojis. I wasn't in any of it. I poured myself a glass of the $9 Pinot I kept in the fridge for emergencies, and sat on the floor with my back against the couch. The rain had stopped. The silence was worse. That's when the thought came. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just there. Quiet. Cold. Perfect. If I'm not invited to her day, I'll make one so bright no one can look away. It should have been a joke. A fleeting, bitter fantasy I'd laugh about later in therapy. But it didn't leave. It grew. 2 weeks later I was back at my parents' house in Vancouver, Washington, for Sunday dinner. Same ritual I'd kept since college. Every Sunday, rain or shine, I drove across the river with a bottle of wine and a smile I didn't feel. Lila hadn't shown up for 1 in 3 years. Tonight she did. She walked in 45 minutes late, Blake trailing behind her like a cologne ad in human form. She wore a cream silk blouse tucked into high-waisted trousers, hair in that effortless beach wave that probably took an hour and 3 different products. Blake had the kind of jawline that made dads want to talk stock tips. Mom actually squealed, like a teenager at a concert. She threw her arms around Lila and held on like she hadn't seen her in years instead of months. Dad stood up to shake Blake's hand with both of his, the full future son-in-law treatment. I stayed seated at the table, picking at the garlic bread, feeling the temperature in the room shift the second they walked in. Like someone had opened a window and let all the oxygen out. Lila finally glanced at me, just long enough for a tight smile. "Elara, you look tired." Translation: "You look like you shop at Target." Dinner was a masterclass in erasure. Lila talked about the venue. A private vineyard in Napa, ceremony at golden hour overlooking the valley, reception under ancient olive trees strung with thousands of Edison bulbs. The caterer was some James Beard finalist. The florist had worked on celebrity weddings. The string quartet was flying in from Vienna. Mom kept clasping her hands like she was praying to the wedding gods. Dad asked Blake about the new Tesla Model S, the Series 7 exam, the housing market in the Bay. Blake answered every question like he'd been rehearsing his whole life. I waited until dessert, Mom's lemon bars, my childhood favorite, now tasting like chalk. "So," I said, setting my fork down with a soft clink that somehow cut through the noise. "How many guests again?" Lila didn't even look up from her phone. 60. Mux. It's going to be so intimate. 60. 60 people who mattered more than the girl who used to hide under the covers with her during thunderstorms, whispering that the thunder was just giants bowling in the sky. I felt every single one of those 60 names like a stone in my chest. I excused myself to the bathroom, locked the door, and sat on the closed toilet lid with my head in my hands. I counted to 100, then 200. When I came out, my eyes were dry and my voice was steady. Later, in the kitchen, Mom cornered me while I loaded the dishwasher like the help. "I know you're hurt," she started, voice low so Dad and Lila wouldn't hear. "Hurt?" I laughed and it came out sharp enough to cut glass. "Mom, I shared a bedroom with her until I was 13. We used to fall asleep holding hands through the slats of our bunk bed. I was there the night she got her first period and thought she was dying. I held her hair when she threw up after her first college party. And now I'm not immediate enough." Mom's mouth pinched into that thin, familiar line. "Lila's particular. You know that. She wants everything perfect. Try to be the bigger person, Elara." The bigger person. That phrase had been my entire childhood. Be the bigger person when Lila got the bigger room. Be the bigger person when they spent $8,000 on her SAT tutor, but told me community college was just as good. Be the bigger person when they flew to San Francisco for her graduation, but sent me a $50 Amazon gift card for mine. I dried my hands on a dish towel and looked her dead in the eye. "No," I said quietly. "I'm done being big." I drove home with the windows down, letting the cold April air slap me awake. When I got to my apartment, I didn't turn on the lights. I sat on the floor again, back against the couch, and opened my banking app. $71,200. Every extra shift I'd ever picked up. Every happy hour I'd skipped. Every time I told myself next year, when friends planned trips I couldn't afford. I stared at that number until it stopped looking like security and started looking like oxygen. I closed the app, opened a new tab, typed, Luxury Yacht Charter Portland, Oregon. By sunrise I had a plan. Not just a party. A reckoning. I found the Aurora Starlight, 150 feet of floating opulence, 3 decks, glass-walled sky lounge, helipad, not that I needed it. Full crew, private chef who'd trained under a Michelin-starred legend. The kind of boat celebrities rented for music video shoots and divorce parties. The quote came back. $42,000 for exclusive 6-hour charter on June 21st, the summer solstice, the exact date of Lila's wedding. Top-tier everything. Open bar with vintage champagne, 5-course seated dinner, live string quartet transitioning to a DJ flown in from Ibiza, roaming oyster station, dessert wall, the works. I didn't hesitate. I gave them my card like I was ordering coffee. Then I built the list. I went full stalker. Dug through years of Lila's tagged photos, Blake's LinkedIn connections, old sorority Facebook groups I'd never been removed from. Even the wedding website guest list I found cached on Google, because someone forgot to password protect it. 148 names. Every cousin who'd ever said we should really catch up. Every college friend who still posted miss my big on Lila's birthday. Every coworker who'd heart reacted her engagement announcement. Blake's entire groomsmen party. The maid of honor who once told me I was like a sister to her too. I made a spreadsheet like I was planning a military operation. Then I designed the invitations myself. Thick cotton paper, rose gold foil lettering, custom wax seals with my initials pressed into midnight blue wax. No explanation. No mention of a wedding. Just pure, unadulterated temptation. You are cordially invited to the event of the summer. An evening of champagne wishes and caviar dreams aboard the Aurora Starlight. Sunset cruise along the Columbia River Gorge. Live music. Gourmet dining. Dancing under the solstice sky. Saturday, June 21st. Cocktails 6:30 p.m. Sales 7:30 sharp. Dress code. Unforgettable. I mailed all 148. Handwrote every address. Licked every stamp like it tasted like revenge. Then I waited. The RSVPs started slow. Then they snowballed. Elara, are you serious? This looks unreal. Yes. +1 okay? My boyfriend will lose his mind. Is there a dress code or should I just wear my soul? Shut up and take my yes x 1000. By the time I hit 120 confirmations, I stopped breathing every time my phone buzzed. 134 final count. That's when Lila called. I was at school, elbow deep in glitter glue and construction paper, when her name flashed on my screen. I stepped into the hallway that smelled like wet sneakers and cafeteria tater tots. Her voice was pure acid. What the hell are you doing? I leaned against the cinder block wall and smiled at a passing first grader who waved. Hey Lila. Good to hear from you too. You scheduled a party on my wedding day. You stole my guests. My maid of honor just asked if she could bring her new boyfriend to your stupid boat instead of flying to Napa. I examined my nails. Huh. Weird. I didn't realize June 21st belonged to you exclusively. Stop pretending, she hissed. You're doing this to hurt me. Because I didn't invite you. I let the silence stretch just long enough. No, Lila, I said softly. You did this to hurt me first. I'm just refusing to disappear quietly. She screamed. Actually screamed, like a kettle boiling over. Then the line went dead. Mom called 20 minutes later. Then Dad. Then both on speakerphone like a hostage negotiation. They begged. They cried. They threatened to cut me out of the will. As if there was anything left to cut. Mom sobbed about how I was destroying the family. Dad said I was unhinged and jealous and needed help. I listened to all of it, standing in the hallway while 23rd graders sang Baby Shark in the background. Then I said the sentence that ended my childhood. You spent 28 years teaching me that love was something I had to earn. Congratulations. I finally learned the lesson. June 21st arrived like Judgment Day. I woke up at 4:47 a.m. shaking so hard I had to sit on the bathroom floor. Checked my phone, no mass cancellations. 134 confirmed. I drank coffee I couldn't taste. Took a shower so hot it scalded. Put on the dress I'd bought in secret. Liquid midnight blue silk, off the shoulder slit. To the thigh, backless all the way to sin. The kind of dress that makes people forget how to form sentences. I looked like the woman I was never allowed to become. The aurora starlight was obscene in the best way. Gleaming white and gold, crystal flutes already chilled and waiting, string quartet tuning on the bow, DJ booth pulsing purple light across the top deck like a heartbeat. The crew wore crisp whites and called me captain with straight faces. Guests started arriving at 6:15 in waves of couture and diamonds and perfume that cost more than my car. I stood at the gangway greeting every single person who chose me. Lila's maid of honor hugged me like we'd been best friends since birth. Blake's best man toasted, to the real party of the year, with a wink. Someone started a chant of my name, and 134 voices picked it up until it echoed off the water and drowned out the seagulls. We pulled away from the dock at 7:30 sharp. Portland shrank behind us, office lights blinking on like jealous little eyes. I have never felt more powerful in my entire life. At 9:18 p.m. the photos started coming in. I'd escaped to the Sky Lounge for a moment alone when my phone detonated. Unknown numbers. Group chats I'd been quietly removed from months ago. Screenshots flying like shrapnel. Pictures of the vineyard in Napa at golden hour. Rows of empty chairs draped in blush pink sashes swaying in the breeze. Long farmhouse tables set for 12 with maybe 3 confused souls picking at burrata and wondering if they had the wrong date. The olive trees strung with 10,000 Edison bulbs glowing for no one. Lila in her $22,000 lace gown, veil whipping in the wind, standing alone at the altar like a bride abandoned by time itself. Blake already halfway out of his tux jacket, face the color of Merlot, mouthing words I could lip-read even through a photo. Where the fuck is everyone? One caption from a number I didn't recognize. Guess some people had better plans tonight. I zoomed in on Lila's face. Even through a grainy iPhone photo taken from the back row, I saw it. The exact moment her perfect, curated, filtered life cracked wide open and showed her what it felt like to be erased. I should have felt triumph. Instead I dropped my champagne flute and watched it shatter across the teak deck like 1,000 tiny screams. Because revenge is a mirror. And when you finally see your own reflection in it, sometimes the monster looking back has your eyes. I spent the rest of the night smiling while something inside me quietly, irrevocably died. Guests kept calling me a legend. A queen. A savage. I danced until my feet bled through the soles of my $800 heels. Laughed until my ribs ached. Posed for photos with people who would forget my name by next week. At 1:17 a.m. we docked. 134 people spilled onto the pier screaming that it was the best night of their lives. Fireworks someone had arranged as a surprise lit up the sky behind us like the grand finale of a tragedy. I waved goodbye like a prom queen on benzos. Then I went home, still wearing the midnight dress now ruined with champagne and tears, and sat in the dark until the sun came up over the laundromat roof. The fallout was immediate and biblical. Mom left a voicemail at 6:03 a.m. that I still can't bring myself to delete. I buried one daughter today. The other one killed her. Don't ever call this number again. You are no longer my child. Lila and Blake lasted exactly 93 days. The public humiliation was apparently a non-negotiable deal-breaker. He took a transfer to London. She moved into a 400-square-foot studio in Oakland, deleted every social media account, and reportedly hasn't spoken to our parents since. I lost my entire family in 6 hours. $42,000 gone. Savings account at zero. Credit cards maxed for the first time in my adult life. I ate rice and beans for 2 months and cried in my car between parent-teacher